Okay, we're in the middle of a sugya, difficult sugya, about the status of the power of the Kohen Gadol in Yom Kippur. Is it the power of a Yachid or the power of a Tzibur? Right, we said Nafkamina Halacha would be Linyan, for example, Tamura, whether they can make a Tamura or not. So we had a brisa that said Zevach Tamura. They said is the Chumrah the Zevach has over Tamura, and we gave three chilukim. One that a Zevach is noig both by a Yachid and a Tzibur. It's doiche Shabbos and Tuma, and it can make a Tamura, versus the Tamura can only be Chal on a Baal Mum. We wanted to say that it's speaking about a power, the power of Kohen Gadol, because why? Despite it being the carbon of a Yachid, it would be good doiche Shabbos. Why? Because it's Kaveh Zman, and in addition, you can make a Tamura, so that would go ahead and be Paishat HaShaila. The Gemara answered that no, it could be speaking the Isle of Aaron. It could be speaking about the Aaron's Isle that he bought in Oila. And it's muchach like that because if it's Tamura, the Tamura can't be bought, the Tamura Schatas can't be bought. So the Gemara, we ended off with going ahead saying that Zevach speaking about a particular carbon, whereas Tamura is speaking about the Shem Tamura, the general rule of Tamura. And we're up to Nun Aleph Amid Aleph. Nun Aleph Amid Aleph. 1, 2, 3 lines down. Yeah, 4 lines down at the end of the line. Rav Sheshes, who said the brisa of Zevach and Tamura was established. Adamukila be'ela shel Aroin. Look me b'Pesach. In other words, what are the boxes that we have to check? That it's Yachid, Tuma makes a Tamura. Guys, look at me. Those are the 3 boxes we have to check off. 1, Yachid. 2, Doiche Shabbos and Tuma. And 3, that it should be make a Tamura. We said it's speaking about Aaron's Isle. Why can't we just say it's speaking about a carbon Pesach? Now, it would be geschmack to say it's speaking about a carbon Pesach because the Torah says Lashon Zevach Pesach. So if the Brisa uses the Lashon of Zevach, right, it will make more sense to go ahead and establish it speaking about something that has that name rather than the Isle Shel Aaron, right? And let's check the boxes. Pesach is a carbon Yachid. It's Doiche Shabbos and Tuma. But in addition, it can make a Tamura. Mm-hmm. So therefore, why didn't we say it's speaking about Pesach rather than establishing that it's speaking about Eila Shel Aaron? So we're going back to that brisa yesterday that we wanted to go ahead and prove that Tamura, that Parish Shel Aaron. We went ahead, we rejected Parish Shel Aaron in terms of Eila Shel Aaron, and now we're questioning the brisa. Why did Rav Yisheshes learn the pshat that brisa is speaking about an aisle? Why can't be speaking about a Pesach? Pesach checks the boxes better, even though the aisle does check the boxes. However, the Zevach checks the box. The Pesach checks the boxes with one additional kanech. It's called a Zevach, and that's the lashon of the brisa. So it says Zevach Pesach. Right, you look at the Taisus, top Taisus. Nukme b'Pesach nirim mishum dechatas v'ayla shel Aaron loy havi misnayu the lashon Zevach stama. You wouldn't use the chatas and the ale of Aaron the lashon of Zevach. Loy ashtin the ikri Zevach. We don't find anywhere that it's called a Zevach. Aval Pesach ksiv Zevach Pesachu. In other words, so it makes sense to say it's speaking about a Zevach rather than a carbon oil. It's a geshmaka kasha. Okay, I told you hang in there because the Gemara is going to ask you kasha.
I understand that, but I'm saying, but if a person is a yachid brings in carbon, let's say he has to be a chatas, that's definitely a carbon yachid, right? But if he's brought it,
that's a chayv, right? It's a chayv.
But it's brought as a yachid.
It's not kaveh zman.
It's not kaveh. You mean kaveh zman? Pesach, the fact that the whole place was bringing is not.
Okay, let's see the Gemara. Says the Gemara. So Rav Sheshes adamukila be'el shalara and looking at Pesach. The doiches Shabbos v'esat Tuma, v'oised Tamura, the carbon yachid who, the kasavar ein shoich than a Pesach al yachid, and for the Gemara kasavar ein shoich than Pesach al yachid. You can't go ahead and bring the carbon Pesach on a yachid. You have to be more than one person. Remember, we made the chabura, we counted the guys in, right? So guys, as soon as you have 2 people on a carbon, what's it called? Not a tzibur, no, shutfis. Why do we know about shutfis? Keneka Tamura doesn't fit the box. It doesn't fit the 3rd box. It doesn't. Again, we get it. What are our boxes, guys? It's Yachid, Tuma, and Tamura. The reason why you can't be speaking about what about Pesach, and we had to say it's speaking about the ale of Aaron is a kanech, right? It's geschmack. This opinion is the Brisa holds Rabbi Yehuda that it can't be brought in the carbon of a. It's Pesach can be brought alone. It has to be brought at least two people. Once it's two people, it's a shutfis. Once it's a shutfis, you can't make a tmura, so it doesn't fit the third box. So it can't be shot in the brisa, and therefore it had to be speaking Eilish Shel Aroin. Rav Sheshes had to say it's speaking Eilish. Very good, Gishmak, Gemara. Okay, anyway, the nukmi Pesach Sheni. Oh, so now Pesach Sheni does not have to be. Guys, let's go through it. Pesach Sheni does not have to be brought the shutfis. So make tmura, right? The chayra is the carbon yachid, and the chayra it's daicha tuma. Okay, again, in the half a mina. Hey, it's not good for your heart. You got to calm down. Mandy. Now, so Mandy. Now, so this. So Fred, now, and what would you gain? It's still zevach, right? In other words, it Pesach Sheni is still better than Eilish Shel Aron because it's still zevach, guys, right? So, man, don't worry, this is all on tape. So my family, they're going to hear me yelling at you. So you'll have a certain, kiyum forever. So yeah, eternity, I'll be yelling at you. It's geschmack, like Uncle Elliot. Anyway, says mi dochatuma. Oh, one second. And Mendy's question. Mi dochatuma. Right, it's Pesach Sheni Midachat Tuma. I'm going to put Rabbi Yeshua L'Rava V'Tana Maishna Pesach the Korele Carbon Yachid. Okay, so now it's not Dachat Tuma. Sheni Midachat Tuma. It's not Dachat Tuma. So Pesach Sheni, guys. Mordechai's happy. It's Pesach Sheni, not that I thought of you last night. It's Pesach Sheni, not Dachat Tuma, guys. It's Pesach Sheni, not Dachat Tuma. So therefore, it doesn't fit the box. So right now, what's the only shot in that brisa? Eilish Shel Aron. It's Geshmak and Gemara because it's going back. We're holding the same thing. Now, we have to go back now and go back to Yankel's problem. I mean, Yankel's problem in Gemara. You have to go back to Yankel's problem. Guys, go back to no. Yankel, you're also making the tape forever. So no. Who's that guy? Anyway, Nun Amid Aleph. Guys, do you remember yesterday we introduced, it's a challenging Gemara. We want to introduce that the power was whether it was a tzibur, right? So we had a dialogue. Rabbi Meir returning to a Tanakama, and Rabbi Yaakov returning to a Tanakama. Okay, so let's go through that brisa again, and I'll pick out the two areas that we have to focus on. Okay, there's only two words. In other words, basically today's Gemara is going back and cleaning up loose ends. It's not like we dealt with the shaila this, the shaila that. Now we're just you brought in along the way. And now the Gemara is cleaning up all loose ends. What exactly is Pshat? Yankel had a problem. How can you call the Chagiga a carbon siba? That was his problem yesterday. I told him we'd get to it today. Okay, so now, to go in the middle of the Gemara, you see the Taisus Chatas at Siba, go down about 5 lines past that. That Nan, Amalei Reb Meir. About 5 lines past the third Taisus, the word should say on the page, that Nan, Amalei Reb Meir. V'lei Par Yom Kippurim, the Chavite Kohen Gadol, U Pesach, the carbon Yachidu. Okay, so now, you just called Pesach a carbon yachid. Good? That's a given. They call it a carbon yachid, yes? Next. Go now a few lines down. Amalei Rav Yaakov, v'lei par helim davish al tzibor, usiri avodas kechavim, v'chagiga the carbon tzibor. Now the chagiga is brought, the chagiga, we're not speaking about chagigas yudalad, we're speaking about chagigas tesva, the one that's brought, the chagiga that's brought every yontif. You bring a Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, the chagiga that Shalmei, it's called Shalmei chagiga, right? Shalmei simcha, it's chagiga. So now, we're calling the Pesach a carbon yachid, and we're calling the chagiga a carbon tzibor. So let's analyze why we're calling each one that, okay? That's what so we're going back to that brisa and to explain those two clauses where it says Pesach is called Yachid and Chagiga is called Tzibur. Guys, good? Now let's get back to us. Vitana, Maishna Pesach, the Korele carbon Yachid. What's the difference? Pesach, we call it carbon Yachid. Umaishna Chagiga, the Korele carbon Tzibur. Right? It's Geschmack now. You got the kasha. Says the Gemara, Imishum the Asa Bichinufya. If you're going to tell me the Chagiga is a Tzibur, of course, it's bought b'shas the regel b'chenufya, where there's a populace, there's a lot of people there. Pesach nami asa b'chenufya. Pesach also is bought b'chenufya. Just remember, guys, the going into the Zara, the doors closing, 3 Hallel, 3 millions of psachim back and forth, the gold and the silver being passed. The gauntlet is. Josephus writes about it. How you watched how beautiful it was to see that Imagine if there's a million kabbanas being born in a few hours, the Kahanim lying down with silver kale in one and gold in the other, just going, you just saw silver and gold just go do, 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 do. It's incredible line, what's they called? The line, factory line, assembly line, right? So if you're telling me that the reason why the Pesach, the Chagiga is called a Tzibur, is because it's brought Bechnufya among a lot of people, so Pesach's the same thing. Pesach Nami Yasa Bechnufya. And for the Gemara, Ika Pesach Sheni, Lo Yasa Bechnufya. You have Pesach Sheni, which wasn't bought with Chinufya. And therefore, it's called Karban Yachid. In other words, when it says Pesach, the Shem Pesach means Pesach. So since Pesach Sheni is, how many people, Pesach wasn't bought with Chinufya? How many people there were, it's still not considered Knufya. It's not hundreds of thousands of people. Even if it's 1,000 people, it's not 5,000 people, it's not Bichnufya, it's not all of Klal Yisrael. Memela, that's called the Karban Yachid. Masha Ein Kain, the Chagiga, which is bought Bichnufya, it's called a Tzibur. So we've gone ahead, what? Okay, so now, Amar Lei, if you're telling me that Pesach includes Pesach Sheni, guys, right? Guys, in other words, Amuloi Reb Meir, said Reb Meir, Par Yom Kippur, said Reb Meir, fellas, but Par of Yom Kippur, and the Chaviti Kohen Gadol, and the Pesach is called the Karban Yachid, yes? Then Pesach Sheni, and that's Koil Pesach Sheni. When it would say the word Pesach, it meant not only Pesach Rishon, it meant Pesach Sheni as well. That's Imkain. Guys, in learning, if you don't know the pronoun, you can't move. Hechi Dami or Imkain, you have to know that. Or again, learning. Imkain, if so what? If so what? So if so that, they call the carbon, the price when it says Pesach, it's speaking about Pesach Sheni, that's also a Karban Yachid. That's also a Karban Yachid. And Kain Yehi Doiche Es Shabbos. It should be Doiche Shabbos. Ves Tuma. Is Pesach Rishon Doiche Shabbos and Tuma? Yeah. Then if that price is said that it's what it's Doiche Shabbos and Tuma. So if you stick the word Pesach Sheni in there, it also should be Doiche Shabbos and Tuma. Now it's Pesach Sheni Doiche Shabbos and Tuma. Says the Gemara. Okay. And Kain Yehi Doiche Es Shabbos at Tuma. Amalei in it is right. Kimanda Amad Doicha. It's like the Mandi Amad that says Pesach Sheni would also be Doicha Tuma v'Shabbos. Titania Pesach Sheni Doicha es Shabbos. Ve'ina Doicha es Tuma. You hear this? Okay. Pesach Sheni would be Doicha Shabbos says Mayadoi. Why wouldn't it be Doicha Tuma? Because that's the reason you bring it in the first place. The reason you bring it in the first place is because you would tummy. How could you go ahead right and bring it to Tuma? Says Gemara. Rabbi Yehuda af Doicha es Tuma. My time to time. So this is according to Rabbi Yehuda, guys. So Rabbi Yehuda says it's even Doicha Tuma. So that price of Zevach is Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara. My time to Tanakama says it's not Doicha Tuma. Amalcha. If they Tuma the Chisoi V'Yaseh b'Tuma, because Tuma you got pushed off in the first place because of Tuma. Now you're going to go ahead and bring it b'Tuma. You got pushed off in the first place of Tuma. Now you're going to go ahead and bring it b'Tuma, right? That doesn't make any sense. Rabbi Yehuda says it is Doicha. Guys, Rabbi Yehuda says it is Doicha Tuma. Amalacha Amakra. Kichol Chukas HaPesach Yasu Osai. Like all the halachas of Pesach, you should do it. Va'afilu b'Tuma, and even b'Tuma. Now why? The Torah gave him a chance to do it b'Taira. In other words, they showed up. The ones they were Doicha Tumas Mace, they were watching the bones of Yosef. They showed up. They told Moshe, we want to bring it also. Moshe said, okay, bring Pesach Sheni. Perish, we'll give you a second chance, like everyone else. Why? We want you to bring a b'Taira. Failing to bring a b'Taira, you'll have the same fallback as us. It'll be brought b'Tuma. That's the svara. It's the same thing. Like all the laws of Pesach. We know what laws of Pesach is, guys? You can bring a b'Tuma. That's only if wave of the tzibus tame. Okay, we'll give you you bring a b'Taira. Failing to that, if you're not zeichel, you go ahead, Rod, and bring a b'Tuma. Okay, so now we have everything. It's Masa Kidvash, right? We have that brisa. The brisa is speaking about Elishel Aron, the Zevach. It can't be speaking about Pesach Sheni, Pesach, because Pesach sport b'shutfis. Let's say it's speaking about Pesach Sheni. The whole Pesach Sheni is not Doicha Tuma. Since Pesach Sheni is not Doicha Tuma, it can't be that. We have a brisa that says Pesach Sheni is Doicha Tuma, and we're doing good. Okay. So now going back. The Gemara now is going back to the Shaila we had on Nun Amid Beis. Nun Amid Beis. Guys, Mendi the Koyin. right? Mendi the Kayin said, it's clearly it's the carbon of a tzibur, if not just Aaron. He's bringing it what for his constituents, his other kahanim. So it's not the carbon of a yachid. Mendi said that. So we saw yesterday. There's two ways to view the kahanim's chelik of the carbon of Aaron. Guys, what are the two ways? One, they mamish own the chelik of kapara, and if that's the case, it's the power of shutfin, or it's only owned by Aaron, and they get soft. They float in the back, right, like secondary. Yeah, that was the shaila. The mesupik. How do you view it? Do you view them as clear-cut owners like Aaron? Like Aaron owns it. Aaron's mocked to them the right for kapara, and therefore have ownership, or they have no ownership. They just schlep along. That was the two ways to look. So that was the shaila yesterday. Now there's a we have a chumash here. Anything close by? Okay, great. I got. Okay, so listen to this pasuk. By Yikra Tezayin. This is Pash Zachri. Most of you should know it well by now. Okay, so it says the pasuk says. The hikr of Aaron es parachatas ashaloi, and Aaron will bring close to the chatas ashaloi. That's him. The chipa bado bad beso. So that's the part. And it says loshen ashaloi. Mashmitz his. In pasuk in Aleph it says the hikr of Aaron es parachatas ashalo. The chipa bado bad beso v'shachar es parachatas ashalo. So you have three ashalois. Ashaloi. Good. Now, what do we do with those three ashalois? Mashma, it's his, right? Mashma, it's totally his, right? Good. Let's see what we do with that. Says the Gemara, but typically, that shaila that you had, whether the kahanim are full-fledged owners or the kahanim just float in on the back. Typically, the ashaloi amarachmana, mishalohu mevi. He has to bring from his own. The Tanya, ashalo, mishalohu mevi, v'lo mishal tzibur. As Mendy said yesterday, the money to buy the par has to come from himself, not from the tzibur. Maybe the reason he doesn't take money from the tzibur because they don't get a kapara. They get the kapara in the seir, guys. They don't get the kapara in the par. So maybe the reason why the tzibur doesn't get a piece of the action is simply because that's not their carbon. Aval yavi mishal achiv kahanim who do have a piece of the action. I would think the kahanim could pay tamalama shalo. No, only him and not what? And not kahanim. That's the second. Yachal yavi vimhavi kasher. I might think that what? Right, he has to be, but vimhavi, if they bring that in other words, he should go ahead and use his own money. But let's say he doesn't use his own money. Tamalei Meshuv, a third time, Ashaloi, Shana HaKosiv, the Torah repeats it, love, La'akev, to be Ma'akev. So let's be Paisha the Shaila, that clearly it must be that the Khanim, they float in, right? It must be his thing. It's got to be his thing and totally his thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, Ulataimech, Achiv HaKahanim, Ilav the Kone Begavo, Hechim Echapalahu. If you're saying so clearly, three Ashalois, in Yiddish, das ist sein, and this an Andera, it's no one else's. So how do the Kahanim get involved over here, right? They are getting a kapara. Something's going on over here. This Ashaloi, you're right. You're telling me that Ashaloi is clearly what? His. I would mask him, it's his. But you also mask him on Hashem, Chatasi, basically everything. On Beis Aaron, we had a Mishnah. The second vidui is for who? For Bnei Aaron. So guess what? They got to have some type of ownership over here, or else how are they getting a kapara? So you're right. When it comes to the money, I understand clearly the money's got to be from him. But clearly they have to have a shaykhis to this, yes? Yes, you are masking. You got the bobblehead. If you're not sleeping, it's good, right, guys? It's good. So what do you have to say? Where they get the kapara, af bekufya, even bekufya. In other words, you want to bring a rider that floats in, yeah? But if it's so much his, how do they even float in? What do you have to say? Shiny Begazia, the ownership of the Arain, the after Rachmana Gabi Achav Kahanim. Guys, you hear this? We think of ownership when you buy something, you buy it in total. Yeah, it's true. When you buy a house, you make sure that everything is you have an easement and you have this, everything's clear that it's yours. You go to the store, you buy something, clear it's yours, right? So over here, what do you say? You're buying something, clearly it's yours. Says the Torah, not so fast. Says the Torah, not so fast. There is a chelik of your ownership that you don't know. The Torah is mafker. It goes ahead and says a chelik of that korban belongs to who? The Kahanim, to get the kapara. In other words, it's Hashem that's limiting your ownership. Als mishpat, als money, you're right, it's yours. But regarding kapara, regarding arachayim, regarding the kapara, guess what? There's a chelik over here that's left over, that's mufkarat for the Kahanim. So therefore, it's a very geschmack. Elishani begazi the Aaron, the after Rachmana Gabi Yochel Kahanim, Hacha Gabi Tmurin Nami, Shiny begazi the Aaron, the after Rachmana Gabi Yochel Kahanim. And you want to know why? But you can't make a Tamura. You want to know why you can't make a Tamura? Because the same way, right? The same way there's a little chelik that's there for the Tamura, that same chelik stops spot from being a Yachid to being a Shutfis. Geschmack Gemara, no? Geschmack, guys, it's Geschmack Gemara. It's a hard Gemara. No, it's monetarily, Ari, it's all yours. You gave it, you pay for it, it's all yours. But the Torah says when you buy it, there's a part that it's not yours, that you don't have control over it. No, you don't have control over part of it. The fellow Kahanim, they come along, and that's it.
Like
So
keep it in a shoe, like an aliyah, or whatever. You monetarily own it, but mice it's for the tzibur, it's for everyone else.
I don't know. I never bought it. It usually cost me nothing. Anyway, should have by me. Anyway, so it's geschmack. It's very geschmack Gemara, right? Just in Lumdis, very very nice Gemara in Lumdis, very beautiful Gemara in Kachim. Just a few ideas again, guys. Remember the 5 Chata Shemesis. Maybe the 5 Chata Shemesis. Chata Shemesis Allah. Chapash Kippel of Chatash of Shanasa, Tmuras Chatas, Uvlad Chatas. Those are the 5 things that Halacha Mashmi Sinai. By Yitzibor, we don't say that. By Yitzibor, we don't say the 5 Chatash Shemesas is din, not by a Yachid. Be aware there's something called a Tamura. And a Tamura, when you make a Tamura, you're doing an Aveira. You're not supposed to do it. Remember the Rambam. What did the Rambam say? Said the Rambam, guy wakes up in the morning, he blew it. He was Magdash's best, right? His Magdash's best cow, his best sheep, and he wants to have charata. So what does he want to do? He wants to take the kedusha off it. Hashem says, okay, guess what? Yeah, you can take it. Not only would that be kaddish, the other one will also be kaddish. You lose twice. You lose twice. But that is only if it's what? It's the carbon of a yachid, not of a shutfis. Shutfis, you cannot have what? You cannot make a tamura. A tamura can't make a tamura. All these things that they repeat themselves often. And you have the power of Aaron, even if it's the power of a yachid, he has to pay for it and everything. The bottom line is the Kahanim, Mendy, remember this, the Kahanim have a chelik in it, right? The Torah says, you're right yesterday. It's Aaron pays for it and everything. And the bottom line is, he pays for it and everything. The bottom line is the Kahanim have a piece of the action. It's kashmak as anything.
So why again did we say yesterday when a guy buys it to someone else, right? A guy pays for someone else's carbon, right? So that's not shukran, right?
No, it's not shukran. It belongs to the other guy. The question is there's like a dual ownership over there. The monetary right of it remains to the person who was magdash it. And therefore, there's a halacha, if you're poi the kachim, fellas, you have to eat a chaimish. But if another person is not the owner, does not have to eat a chaimish. So you who are magdash should have to eat it. Mashen came the Indian kapara, he's the owner of the kapara. It's a dual ownership, right? Dual ownership. Okay, what? Okay, anyway, so now, so let's back to our program, right? So what do we have? We have the kohen. What's the kohen doing? The kohen, he did. Let's go through it, guys. He did pari, did vidui once. Guys, listen up. Avrami, listen. What's his name? Dov. Okay. Anyway, listen up. It's his chazara. Par, guys. Par. Good. Par. He did vidui in his par. He went and did the goyrol on the 2 goats. He has the goat set up. One goat's going to go Lazazel, set up by Shar Niknar. We have the goat that's going to be geschachten with a red thing around its neck. Bein ulam and mizbeach. The goat, no, the goat has the red thing around his neck. We haven't set it up yet. The par is between ulam and mizbeach. He shechs the par. He gives the blood to a person that is going to go ahead and stir it. And he's stirring it. He goes up on the mizbeach. He takes a golden kav that has three kavim of gold, of coals, and he brings it down, puts it down. He now goes to the base of Tinis. He takes another shovel, he does chafina, malichofnov, and he puts it in a kaf. Now he's walking in with the kaf in his left hand, the machta in his right hand, despite the fact that chashivas, it's just practical because it's heavier. And he's walking in now into the Kodesh Kodashim to bring the Ketairis on the holiest day of the year. Mamish, an unbelievable thing. Mamish walking in to where the Aron is, the only time of the year that anyone's allowed in the Kodesh Kodashim, and he's about to put the Ketairis down. Now, how does he walk in? How does he walk in, and what's the situation? So, if you have an art school, I'll bring up the picture over here. Go look at any picture. The art school has a ton of pictures. I did not go ahead and do any of the pictures, but I think you should have enough over here. You don't want this one.
Was he wearing a hoodie?
The hoodie, yeah. There's a big sign over there. Let's no go to that.
Okay.
The hoodies and all that.
Okay, this doesn't help us at all. I got the wrong picture. I got the wrong picture. I'm putting this in the garbage. Let me see. I got some over here. Okay, forget it. I mean, you could go, guys, get a picture on your own. Okay, he's walking in. I'm sorry. He's walking in from east to west. He's walking in from east to west. As he walks in, to his left, to the south side, is the menorah. Right in front of him is the Mizbeach Hazav, and to the right side, the north side, is the Shulchan. He's walking up to the Kodesh Kodashim, and he's going to be walking in. It's a machloikis where he's going to walk in through the south or through the north. It's a machloikis. He's going to walk in through the south from the north. It's also machloikis. Where is he going to walk? Through a machloikis. Is he going to walk between the menorah and the Mizbeach? Is he going to walk between the Shulchan and Mizbeach, or he's going to walk between the Shulchan and the northern wall? Okay, that's basically what you're looking at. Okay, that's how he's walking in. That's basically what you're looking at. How he's walking in. Okay, so let's begin. He'd walk in the Heichel, in the Kodesh. Now it doesn't say where he walked, how he walked, but he gets to the Shtei Paroiches. Now there are two curtains, and in between the two curtains there is an amma space. There's a space of an amma, right? Hamavdilos, second bias. Hamavdilos ben a kodesh ben kodesh kodashim. These two curtains are separating between the kodesh and the kodesh kodashim. Ubeineim amma, and the expanse between them was an amma. Rabbi Yossi says there was only one paroiches, and according to Rabbi Yossi, it was open on the northern side. It was on the side of the Shulchan on the northern side. So you could look in. You go straight in. Right, Bavad. Shnemar v'hivdila haparoiches. The paroiches should separate. Lachem ben a kodesh ben a kodesh kedashim. Now, be aware, fellas. In the bias rishon, there wasn't a curtain. There was a wall. There was a wall. That wall was an amma wide. Which was only 40 amas high, or 80 feet. You can make a wall that is 40 an amma thick. You can make it 40 amas high. The second bias, it was 100 amas high. You couldn't possibly make a wall with that thin amount. So they had two sheets, two paroiches, and that paroiches was the width of the amma. In between, that's where you get the amma. And there's a shaila. What exactly is the area between? Is it kodesh kodashim, or it's what? That's why you had two, as we'll see.
Now is it made higher by the second bias?
Well, you're able to go ahead and expand. They made it higher. It seems that even though the area that was given by David HaMelech was very exact, that's only vis-a-vis length and width, not in height. So, and maybe they made a more beautiful edifice. They made it higher.
But how do they allow to build that? You might be taking away from Kaddish, you might take away from the Kaddish.
What?
When you build that
They,
Amma,
they didn't build the Amma. They didn't. That's why they're proiches.
it means it's space. There's no
They
Amma.
don't know. Right. This in between. There's not. It says no Shapa Ka'amal who Rabbi Yossi the Rabbanan. Rabbi Yossi brought a pasuk that there was only one proiches, guys, right? He put all right, there's only one proiches. How can you say there's two? For Rabbanan will tell you, Hani Mili b'Mishkan. That pasuk is in Shmos. There was no Beis HaMikdash then. That's speaking about the Mishkan. In the Mishkan, there was what? In the Mishkan, right? There was one. In the Mishkan, there was one, right? Avol b'Mikdash Sheni kiven lehave Amma Traxin. Since in the Migdash Sheni there wasn't an Amma Traxin, uva Migdash Rishon hu dehave v'stapgul Rabbanim b'Kedusha. The Rabbanim was supping its kedusha ikilefnim. If it was like kodesh ikilechutz or what, it was like kodesh kedashim or like kodesh. Okay, now let's just define the word amatraxin. Okay, it's a very funny word, traxin. Look at Rashi over here. Amatraxin kach nikras koisel mechitza. So we call the koisel of the mechitza shehifsik b'migdash rishon. That was mavda. There was a barrier in the migdash rishon. Av migdash sheni shayi gavoya was high. Me'ama le'asu. They didn't make it. The fish le'choyu avera el amma. Since the width was only amma, then the yochel lama begoiver couldn't stand by that great height. Well, the hoisav al oiveha you can't go ahead and make it thicker because that would be taking away from David's dimension. Okay, but Rashi did not explain the word tracks, and he just told you as I gave it to you. So if you look at Rashi on Nun Beis Amid Aleph, when it go down where it gets thin, 4 lines down where it gets thin, traxin, loshin ponim b'chutzu. It's a loshin ponim chutz, right? Kachri yisi b'talmud Yerushalmi. That's what it says in Talmud Yerushalmi. So Torah would be ponim and sin would be chutz, right? They would bring it in the front door. Tarik is lashon coming in. So amatraxin. This was the amatraxin that would go ahead and bring you in from the outside. Let's see Taisus by us traxin on a base back by us. Traxin Pirish Rashi Panim B'chutz V'yesh Mefonim Traxin Miloshin Taruku Gali means closed gates. Taruku is closed gates. Like Shesagar Hoyelifnim Himenu Haluchais. It was closed within that area. The Luchais Shenitnu Bisinai. Guys, track sin. Closed in what? It contained within sin, the Torah that was given Sinai. It's a more geschmack shot, right? So that's where it comes from, Amatrax. And so we have it set up now, according the Rabbi Yossi Shita, according to the Chachamim, is speaking by the Mishkan. In the Beis Hamikdash Rishon, there was a wall. In the Bayis Sheni, there was 2 proicheses which encompassed the expanse of that wall, and they didn't know exactly what status it had. Tan Rabbanan, Bein HaMizbeach u'Menorah Haya Mahalech. How would he enter? He would go between the Mizbeach and the menorah. So guys, you're coming in east, you're traveling west, east to west. On your left, you're going to have the menorah, and on your right, you're going to have the Mizbeach Hazav. And the right, you're going to have the Mizbeach Hazav. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, these are words of Rabbi Yehuda. Remeya Omer, bein shulchan the Mizbeach. He would come in, now you're coming in east to west. However, you're traveling in the north, and you're going to have the shulchan on your right and the Mizbeach on your left. You're going totally in the north. Your right side will be the northern wall, and your left side will be the shulchan. Now, man yesh oimrim. Who's the yesh oimrim that what you walk straight in? Amar Rav Chisda Rabbi Yossi. It's Rabbi Yossi. Damar pischa b'tzafin koi. The Pesach wasn't at tzafin. Okay, guys, look. If you have the opening, here's your tent. Here's the north. I'm traveling east to west. Here's the Kachei Kedoshim, and here's the opening. So I'm walking straight in like this. I'm walking straight. I'm not going in over here and going around like this. I'm not making, a circuitous route between this and I gotta say a quick thing. But you're going straight over here, straight in. That's Rabbi Yossi. You're going along the northern wall, straight in.
That only works if there's one wall.
What?
That only works if there's one wall.
There's one wall. You're walking. The wall. You have a wall on the right side.
Yeah, but that won't work if you have the proiches. That won't work.
No. He's not walking the proiches yet. He's walking in towards it. The Paraichas ran north-south. He's walking east-west. Shalom. Look, Shalom, look.
That's it.
He's walking this way. He's walking perpendicular. He's walking towards it, okay?
Okay.
And the opening there is on the right side. The opening there is on the right.
And then it goes down, okay.
Okay, so good. So what?
That's covered, when you're going into Kachikash.
Well, I think not the speed. I think it's the most mechubadik way to go in. As we're going to see, it's not as you enter. That's the covet. The speed that you get there is not as the covet. It's as how you go in, and that's going to be a shaila really in the Gemara, because it's l'chayra Rabbi Yossi is a shtickle chutzpah to walk directly in the front door. You know what I'm saying? If you go this way and you go paraychas and you're going to go in this way, it's a little more about covet. Right. Right. So it's not so. It's okay. So now. Well, you were supposed to ask tercha the tzibura. That's us tercha. That's nothing to do with covet. That's tercha the tzibura. You shouldn't. You have to wait. You have to wait to maximize it. A new thing. A guy gets an aliyah. Get an aliyah. Hey, what are we doing? Hey, get an aliyah. Hey. Now, says the Gemara. So you have all these now. So Rabbi Yossi says, Pischa b'tzafin kai. Rabbi Yehuda Oimelach, Pischa b'darim kai. The opening was in the south. What did Rabbi Yehuda say, guys? You walk between the menorah and the mizbeach, correct? So you know what the Gemara is going to ask? If the opening is in the south, why don't you walk between the menorah and the wall? Just like Rabbi Yossi, you walk between the northern wall and the shulchan. But like Rabbi Yehuda, if the opening was the south, walk between the menorah and the wall in the south, right? Gemara is going to answer. Shmutzadika was the south wall from the fire, so he shouldn't get dirty his clothing. The menorah is a geschmack. He goes by for a practical reason. He goes by the shulchan, you didn't have any schmutz, but by menorah you had the soot, right? Everything is you had the soot from the fire. It's good. Says the Gemara. You know what? Pischa b'darim kai. Remeya keman sphere. Now, Remeya held, guys. He walks between the shulchan and the mizbeach, right? So who does he hold like? If he holds like the openings in the south, he should be walking between the menorah and the mizbeach. If he opens in the north, he should hold like Rabbi Yossi that you walk between the north and the wall. Ikra Yehuda sphere nailed Rabbi Yehuda between the mizbeach and the menorah. Ikra Yossi sphere nailed Rabbi Yossi between the wall and the shulchan. Loyal and Rabbi Yossi sphere he holds like Rabbi Yossi. I said, why doesn't he walk between the wall and the shulchan? Okay, guys, if you have an article, take a look. We have a machloikis. He had 10 shulchanos. Now, how is those shulchanos situated? How would the shulchanos situated? So watch. The shulchan, guys. This is I'm dividing. This is you're going. Look, this is my head's the kachik kadashim. Right. Okay, western. It's like this is my head's kachik kadashim. This is okay. So in this hemisphere over here, guys, this is the north. And this is the south, right? Let's say Mizbeach Azov is here. The shulchan ran this way. It ran north-south. So you had 5, and one in the middle, right? You had 5 over here, and you had one of Moshe in the middle. So you know I couldn't walk along the wall, guys? There was no room in the wall. It was massive. So therefore you had to walk over here.
They're trying to keep them in Suffolk.
Yeah, it has to be in the Suffolk, right? The shulchan has to be in the Suffolk, has to be in the north. So you couldn't possibly walk along the wall. It was mafsek. So it says the Gemara, very geschmack. Shulchan is Safin v'darim l'nachim. The shulchan of Shleima, they ran north and south. Umafsekas lay shulchan. They were mafsek lay masala lay, and he wasn't able to go in. Good. Now I'll tell you, they ran this way. They ran this way. If they ran this way, the chayyur should have a room on the wall, right? In other words, if the shulchan is 5 over here, and 1 in the middle, right? You have 5 over here, 5 over here, and 1 in the middle, and you're able to get over here because they're not being mafsik. So therefore, what's the reason you walk directly in? The shechina, it's not bakavidik to walk directly in. So it's more bakavidik to first walk on the side of the shulchan and mizbeach, and then walk rather than to walk directly in. Rabbi Yossi will tell you, I have no problem walking directly in. Chaviv in Yisrael achaviv shaloi hitzrichen akasav l'shliach. They did not go ahead and need a shliach. Rashi tells us that what? that Bnei Yisrael are so mechubed, they don't need a shliach. They're so mechubed that a Kodesh Baruch Hu would want to. You can walk directly in. It's not a problem. It's not a problem.
Especially in Kippur, I guess it's gonna come down.
And Rabbi Yehuda, Fregdom Rabbi Yehuda, Nami Nail Bein Menorah L'Kaisel. Let Rabbi Yehuda, why does he walk between the menorah and the mizbeach? Walk between the menorah and the kaisel if the opening's in the south? Says the Gemara, the mashrei mane. It'll go ahead and be mashrei. It'll darken his garment. Therefore, because of the suit of the.
No.
Thanks for listening. Yeah, thank you.